Continuing from the previous episode 717. Chapter 1646. Fight of the Two Do-Di. Part 2. Blood lightning covered the sky. Han Tiandi looked at Xiao Yan, who did not show any signs of being at a disadvantage when facing his attacks. A gloomy expression flashed across his eyes. This kind of stalemate fight was not something that he wished to see. Xiao Yan, do not think that just because you have advanced into the Do-Di class, you will be able to fight against me. Han Tiandi inhaled a breath of air. His eyes had suddenly become extremely grave. The blood lightning that filled the sky had weakened. Han Tiandi suddenly widened his mouth in front of the many terrified eyes. A suction force erupted. The blood cloud that permeated the sky had actually turned into a blood light that charged into his mouth at this moment. The thick blood cloud was gathered from the essence cloud of many people. However, it was devoured by Han Tiandi at this moment. After the blood cloud, which had covered the central plains for half a year, was being devoured, the warm sunlight once again came pouring down. Many people were a little excited as they looked at the somewhat glaring sunlight. Only after sensing the atmosphere of doomsday arriving did they realize just how precious those usually ordinary things were. Of course, they also understood that now was not the time to be excited. The battle in the sky, which would determine the fate of the Do-Chi continent, had only just entered its intense stage. Crack crack! After the blood cloud, which spread over the sky, was swallowed by Han Tiandi, the latter's body swelled. Within a short instant, it had turned into 100,000 feet large blood-colored giant. Blood light rapidly gathered on his body. Finally, it turned into a layer of blood armor that surrounded the 100,000 feet large body. The blood giant stood in the sky and covered it. In the face of the terrifying visual assault, no one suspected that this punch of Han Tiandi would be able to turn the area within tens of thousands of kilometers into a deep gully. Ha ha! This is my blood-D body. What can you do? Han Tiandi's huge blood eyes stared at Xiao Yan. Currently, wind lightning surged as he breathed. He exhaled and the energy of the entire central plains seemed to have fluctuated greatly. Do-Di's body. The expressions of Ji Yuan and the others changed drastically as they looked at the 100,000 feet large Han Tiandi. Being from the ancient clans, they were naturally aware that an elite Do-Chi could incorporate the world in their bodies. At that time, they would be the world. Just the lift of a hand could destroy the universe. Its might was extremely great and terrifying. This huge body was not formed from energy. Instead, it was a firm actual body. One could just imagine how terrifying the aura of a 100,000 feet body was. This kind of ability is referred to by the others as the Do-Di body. This was because one could only use it after reaching the Do-Di class. Hence, the expressions of Ji Yuan and the others changed drastically after seeing this scene. Before they could panic, however, Xiao Yan in the sky looked at this huge figure fearlessly and laughed. His hands formed different seals. Subsequently, the land was split apart. Endless magma rose. Finally, they turned into a rich red flame and swarmed into Xiao Yan's body. After these rolling red flames surged into Xiao Yan's body, he began to swell in front of the countless pairs of anxious eyes. Moreover, brilliant flames swiftly whistled out from the pores all over his body. They turned into many fire dragons that lingered around him. You do have some ability. A surprise flashed across Han Tiandi's eyes after he saw the brilliant fire dragons lingering around Xiao Yan's body. He immediately laughed coldly. I wish to see whether this blood-D body of mine or your flame-D body is stronger. Han Tiandi took a stride forward as his cold laughter sounded. He was accompanied by wind and lightning as a seemingly ordinary punch was thrown. It quickly collapsed in the sky. Endless blood chi surged towards Xiao Yan from all directions. The wind was incomparably terrifying. Humph! Xiao Yan snorted coldly as he saw Han Tiandi attacked head-on. He did not dodge. A punch was thrown forward. The brilliant fire dragon that surrounded him was smashed forward ruthlessly. Bang! Blood chi and the fire dragon collided in an earth-shaking fashion. The terrifying wind shattered the many mountains below into dust. Countless groups of people hurriedly found some hiding places. The destructive force from the battle between the two unmatchable people in the sky was far too shocking. Be careful. Ji Yuan and the others hurriedly formed the defensive barrier. This, along with the fire barrier that Xiao Yan had placed initially, barely managed to block that terrifying wind. Bang bang bang! Xiao Yan's and Hun Tiandi's 100,000 feet large bodies in the sky took a couple of steps backwards. Each of their step caused the space within 10,000 feet to be shattered into black emptiness. However, they charged forward immediately after they pulled back. This kind of fight was not extremely spectacular, but it was a collision of extremely strength. No one could imagine just how shocking it was when the 200,000 feet large beings clashed physically. Clouds and wind surged as the collision occurred. Lightning flashed. It was as though the entire world was trembling because of this fight. The clash of the two enormous beings had clearly caused an extremely great destruction to the Central Plains. The land continued to shake. Huge crack lines formed deep gullies that had split the Central Plains into two. All life were terrified under this tremor. Just a slight ripple would be able to kill even an elite Do Sheng. Ji Yuan and the others watched the distant sky with pale faces. The space there was repeatedly collapsing. This damage was subsequently repaired. This cycle continued, causing one's pores to stand in fear. Such a battle continued for a full half a day. Rumbling, shocking sound had spread from the Central Plains and reverberated across the entire Do Chi continent. Some of the experts outside of the Central Plains had also detected this tremor. Immediately, they began to charge in the direction of the Central Plains. However, the terrifying wind that came blowing their way when they were about to step into the area of the Central Plains caused them to spit out blood and retreat. All of these experts, who appeared calm earlier, had ashen faces. None of them dared to venture in. Flame, mysterious explosion. Another extremely striking earth-shaking collision occurred in the distant sky. A low cry, which had been suppressed for a long time, suddenly sounded during that clash. Soon after, a terrifying firestorm swept apart. A figure landed violently and smashed the distant mountain range into a deep pit. Ji Yuan's group immediately rejoiced after seeing the huge figure falling onto the ground. This was because that person was actually Hun Tiandi. From the looks of it, Xiao Yan had occupied the upper head in this head-on clash between the two. Relying on medicinal pill to advance into the Do D class is indeed not considered the best option. Xiao Yan has obtained the inheritance of the ancient god. Moreover, he had trained with great effort within the heavenly tomb for nearly 3 years. On the other hand, Hun Tiandi had only spent half a year. An excitement rose on Zhu Kun's face as he said. Everyone smiled with great joy upon hearing his words. The great pressure within their hearts had also completely disappeared. Compared to Ji Yuan's group, the expressions of those from the Han clan suddenly paled. They also clearly understood what kind of ending would occur if Xiao Yan emerged victorious. Bang! The huge body in the deep gully once again soared towards the sky while their hearts were panicking. The former looked at Xiao Yan in a somewhat miserable manner. Hun Tiandi, it seems that your blood D body is no match for my flame D body. Xiao Yan slowly suppressed the churning blood within his body and laughed. Moreover, it seems that your strength is beginning to be exhausted? Hun Tiandi's expression was extremely gloomy. He was well aware of the condition within his body. After having exchanged blows, he discovered that even though his strength was also extremely frightening, the stamina of his aura was inferior to Xiao Yan, perhaps as a result of him using medicinal pill. Additionally, Xiao Yan's Do D body was built from many heavenly flames. It was naturally incomparably strong. Even his blood D body was actually a little inferior. If this continued, it was likely that he would really be the defeated party. This was something that he would definitely not allow to happen. Do not celebrate too early. Hun Tiandi's eyes swept over the Central Plains below. A savage expression flashed across them. Xiao Yan, originally, I did not intend to do this. However, you are asking for it. Today, I shall use this entire Central Plains to bury you. Hun Tiandi waved his large hand after his dense voice sounded. A bright blood light shot downwards and finally entered the land. Subsequently, everyone were stunned to see countless blood lights spreading with lightning-like speed after landing on the ground. The many bloodlines appeared just like the blood vessels of the Central Plains. Xiao Yan was a little startled as he watched this scene. Looking down from above, he could see that the blood light was enveloping the entire Central Plains with an extremely terrifying speed. Bang bang bang! The Central Plains suddenly began to shake violently while Xiao Yan was feeling startled. Many 100,000 feet large blood light shot from various spots on the Central Plains towards the sky. The direction that these blood light has risen from. It seems to be the places where the Hun clan had placed the devouring spirit eliminating life formation. Ji Yuan suddenly exclaimed as he looked at the spots where the bloodlight rose. If the positions where these formations were placed are added up, Zhu Kun seemed to have recalled something at this moment. His expression suddenly changed as he cried out in shock. These positions actually also form a formation if they were added up. Such large array. Yan Jin's group were shocked. A formation that surrounded the entire Central Plains? Was there really someone who could achieve this? Xiao Yan, my Hun clan had prepared for 1,000 years. We are ready for even the worst scenario. You will definitely die today. Bloodlight covered the Central Plains. Those spread over the vast sky. It turned into an incredibly large and strange formation. This formation is passed down from the first elite Do Di of my Hun clan. Its name is the Slaughtering Di Array. Hun Tiandi's eyes looked at Xiao Yan in a strange manner. He laughed in a dark and cold manner. They had really been elite Do Di dying in this array during the ancient era. Xiao Yan's eyes sunk slightly. He lifted his head to look at the strange formation in the sky with blood light lingering over it. He could indeed detect a trace of danger from it. You are indeed worthy of being Hun Tiandi. It is possible for you to even predict the situation today. Xiao Yan spoke in a low and deep voice. This great formation required an extremely complicated preparation. Unfortunately, Xiao Yan's eyesight was not sufficiently good. He was actually unable to see the true use of the devouring spirit eliminating life formation. Preparing for the worst-case scenario. In everything we do, this is the reason that the Hun clan can survive until today. Xiao Yan, I have activated this formation by using the bloods of tens of millions of descendant citizens. You have already lived up to your ability by dying in this formation. After the monstrous sea of blood surged into the formation, a strange light suddenly flickered within it. The bloodlight gathered rapidly. Finally, it gathered and turned into a huge transparent blood blade that contained an endless bloody stench in front of the countless pairs of eyes. The blood blade was extremely strange. It did not have a hilt. The bloodlight lingering over it seemed to be able to even split this world. The bright sun in the sky had dimmed as this strange blood blade appeared. The whole world gradually darkened. It appeared as though even the sun, moon and clouds were terrified of that strange blood blade. Everyone from the Hun clan, listen up. Offer yourselves as a sacrifice for the blade. Hun Tiandi suddenly cried out sternly the moment the blood blade appeared. The Hun clan army in the distance quickly broke out in a commotion. After which, thousands of experts clenched their teeth and shot forward. Swoosh. Hun Tiandi had an indifferent expression. His hand seal changed and the blood blade flashed. Soon after, the experts from the Hun clan tens of thousands of feet away, who had rushed forward, ended up with their heads leaving their bodies. Blood spluttered and their bodies quickly withered. Finally, they turned into dust that scattered over this world. After absorbing the blood of these experts from the Hin clan, the strange blood blade also appeared increasingly real. Xiao Yan, it's over. Hun Tiandi's eyes were crazy as they loomed at the strange blade. A mouthful of essence blood was spat out. A humming blade cry was immediately emitted as this essence blood landed on the blood blade. The feeling of danger in Xiao Yan's heart was increasingly dense as this blade sound appeared. The entire place was quiet as everyone watched this scene in the sky. They could feel a kind of extremely terrifying aura from the strange blood blade. It was very likely that this attack could seriously injure Xiao Yan. Slaughtering Di Ghost Blood Blade. That legend is actually real. Ji Yuan's expression had become extremely pale at this moment. Others might perhaps not recognize this so-called blood blade, but he remembered that he had once read about a lot of records about this slaughtering Di Ghost Blood Blade from the ancient books. This thing had really once killed an elite Do Di and shocked the continent. It was unexpected that after tens of thousands of years, they would actually be able to personally witness the legendary fierce weapon. This is bad. Ji Yuan clenched his fist tightly. His expression was as white as sheet as he muttered. Continuing from the previous episode 718. Chapter 1647. Fight of the Two Do Di, Part 3. Hu. Xiao Yan inhaled a deep breath of air. His expression slowly became grave. If he was unable to receive it this time around, it was likely that he would really die. Hun Tiandi, you might be prepared, but so am I. Xiao Yan stared at Hun Tiandi. His hand seal changed, after which, he widened his mouth. Bright brilliant light shot out. Finally, it soared with the wind. It actually turned into a square that appeared in the sky. Heavenly Flame Square? Gu Yuan and the rest were startled as they looked at the somewhat familiar thing. That thing was surprisingly the Heavenly Flame Square that was taken out from the ancient god mansion. However, those heavenly flame did not have much strength. They were mere tokens. Could it be that Xiao Yan was planning to rely on this to block Han Tiandi's formation? The heavenly flame square floated in the sky. Xiao Yan's body moved and appeared in the sky above the square. The brilliant flame seal on his brow suddenly danced intensely. An indescribable thought fluctuation spread from within the fire seal. It spread over the entire Do-Chi continent at an extremely terrifying speed. In the name of the Flame D, all flames in the world listen to my command. Xiao Yan's eyes were suddenly opened. Brilliant flames surged from within his body. A voice that filled with pressure resounded in a vast and mighty fashion over the entire Do-Chi continent. The 23rd rank on the Heavenly Flame ranking, Mysterious Yellow Flame, in position. Brilliant flame lingered around Xiao Yan's body. He appeared like the emperor of all flames. After this cry sounded, a loud explosion sounded from a mountain that was 50,000 kilometers from the central plains. A deep yellow flame shot out. Finally, it became like a falling star that cut through the sky. It penetrated through the space. Within a short instant, it had already appeared above the central plains. Finally, it directly landed on the stone pillar on the Heavenly Flame Square. Bang! After this, deep yellow flame shot into the stone pillar. The mysterious yellow flame rising from it suddenly soared. It turned into a fire pillar shot towards the sky. 22nd on the Heavenly Flame ranking. 10,000 Beast Spirit Flame, in position. 21st on the Heavenly Flame ranking. 19th on the Heavenly Flame ranking, Green Lotus Core Flame, in position. A pale green flame surged out from within Xiao Yan's body and charged towards a stone pillar. Countless individuals were completely stunned as they watched this spectacular scene. Each time Xiao Yan's cry sounded, there would be a heavenly flame breaking through the space and arriving. Finally, it would obey his order and enter the stone pillar. That appearance was as though Xiao Yan had transformed into the emperor of all flames. None of these flames dared disobey him. This spectacular scene caused one's blood to boil from excitement when looking at it. That almighty feeling of having everything in the world obey one's orders caused one to feel an incomparable respect and envy. 7th on the Heavenly Flame ranking, 9 Quiet Gold Ancestor Flame, in position. Xiao Yan once again cried out loud in the sky. Yan Jin's body suddenly trembled as he stood below. Golden flame broke free from his body in an uncontrolled manner and rushed into the stone pillar. The next few heavenly flames might possess their respective owners, but all of them easily escaped from the bodies of their owners after being summoned by Xiao Yan. They were subsequently shot into the stone pillars. 3rd on the Heavenly Flame ranking, Purifying Demonic Flame, in position. Xiao Yan inhaled a deep breath of air. Little Yi also rushed out from his body and shot into a stone pillar. A pink fire pillar shot towards the sky. At this moment, there were already 21 Heavenly Flame fire pillar on the Heavenly Flame Square. The aura from them could be described as earth-shaking. This scene also caused Han Tiandi to be greatly shocked. He could vaguely feel an unease. Those brilliant eyes of Xiao Yan had turned towards Han Tiandi when the purifying demonic lotus flame shot into the fire pillar. His hand seal changed as he cried out in a cold voice, 2nd on the Heavenly Flame ranking, Nihility Devouring Flame, in position. Han Tiandi's body suddenly shook as the cry sounded. The Nihility Devouring Flame, which he had devoured for a long time, had actually once again showed traces of recovery. Bastard! Han Tiandi's heart was a little horrified. He could sense that if Xiao Yan was really allowed to gather all the heavenly flames, the attack that he could unleash would be sufficient to defeat him. Hence, he must not allow the Nihility Devouring Flame to also be summoned by Xiao Yan. A thought quickly flashed through his heart as he hurriedly blocked the summoning strength that originated within Xiao Yan's body. You have actually devoured the Nihility Devouring Flame? How ruthless! A surprise flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes as he detected the ripple from within Han Tiandi's body. He immediately laughed coldly as he suddenly cried out loud, Nihility Devouring Flame, just how long more are you going to wait before you act? Boom! Xiao Yan's cry had just sounded when Han Tiandi's body suddenly trembled. A black-colored flame finally broke out from within his body. Finally, he swiftly charged out of the Do-Chi square and turned into a human figure. Hun Tiandi, since you wish to devour me, I will definitely drag you down with me even if I die. The Nihility devouring flame appeared. His eyes were ferocious as he looked at Hun Tiandi. Suddenly, he turned his head. Those ferocious eyes, which he was using to look at Xiao Yan, had become a little strange. He was able to sense the pressure that originated from Xiao Yan. Flame D Xiao Yan, ha ha, you have the ability to summon all flames in this world. Today, I will obey your orders. The Nihility devouring flame laughed out loud with an ugly expression. After which, he entered the final stone pillar in front of Hun Tiandi's furious eyes. Boom! After the Nihility devouring flame shot into the final stone pillar, a black flame pillar also shot towards the sky. 22 flame pillars were slowly shifted. Finally, they gathered in the midair. A brilliant colored ancient ruler had actually appeared at the point where the flames merged. Heavenly flame lengthened ancient ruler. The eyes of Ji Yuan and the rest suddenly shrunk after they saw the ancient ruler with brilliant flames. Their voices had become sharp because of shock. That legendary heavenly flame lengthened ancient sword has actually appeared through this. Zhu Kun was dull as he watched this scene and muttered. This was a mysterious object that only existed during the ancient times. Very few of those ancient experts had even seen it before. Offer sacrifices to the blood sword. A shock had also rose in Hun Tiandi's eyes at this moment. Immediately, he cried out explosively in a sharp voice. This time around, a commotion broke out in the army from the Hun clan after hearing his cry. There was hardly anyone who flew forward. Traitors! A brutal expression flashed across his eyes after Hun Tiandi saw this scene. Blood blades cut across the sky. It directly charged into the Hun clan army. Blood light flashed. Countless of heads flew. Within the blink of an eye, only 70 to 80% of the Hun clan army remained. All those who were left revealed terrified expressions as they looked at Hun Tiandi. Their faces were completely pale. The blood blades seemed to have grown a pair of blood-colored eyes after having absorbed the fresh blood of so many experts. Those eyes were filled with an endless chill and evil aura as they looked at this world. You are even willing to kill your own clan members. The word, beast, is indeed a suitable description for you. Xiao Yan's expression was icy cold as he looked at this action of Hun Tiandi. His voice contained some disdain. Such a person was really too unlikable. The winner is king. The process doesn't matter. If I am victorious today, the mortality will naturally be bared by you in the future. Hun Tiandi laughed wildly towards the sky. He appeared somewhat crazy. Immediately, another mouthful of essence blood was spat out. He grabbed the blood blade and the incomparably sharp edges directly cut his palm. Blood flowed wildly. Subsequently, they were quickly devoured by the blood blade. Die! Hun Tiandi's blood hair was scattered. His expression was ferocious and frightening. His foot took a stride through the empty air and the blood blade in his hand swelled suddenly. Next, his body directly appeared on the heavenly flame square. The blood blade turned into a blood glow as it penetrated through the empty space. It shot towards Xiao Yan in front of the countless pairs of eyes. Xiao Yan's expression became increasingly grave as he looked at the blood blade, which contained an endless amount of danger. He deeply exhaled a breath of lightning aura. He grabbed with his hand and the ancient ruler formed by the 22 heavenly flames landed in his hand. He took a stride forward. The brilliant fire ancient ruler cut through the space. It was accompanied by an endless terrifying strength as it ruthlessly slashed onto the bloodlight. Clang! Terrifying storms swept wildly over the sky. The defensive barrier of the Sky Mansion Alliance was cut almost instantly. Everyone within it were sent flying by 10,000 feet. Even the meteorite had exploded into dust at the location of the star realm. Terrifying wind directly forced the heavenly flame square floating in the sky towards the ground. Finally, it smashed and formed a 50,000-kilometer large deep pit on the ground. Those in the air, who still had the ability to fly, swiftly appeared in the sky around the deep pit. Their eyes hurriedly looked towards the deep pit. Everyone knew that a victor would be decided through the all-out battle between the two. Countless pairs of eyes gathered on the heavenly flame square. Two miserable blood-covered figures were climbing onto their feet. The two Do-Di bodies had also been shattered during the earlier intense big clash. Ha ha, Xiao Yan, even if you can defeat me today, you are still unable to kill me. Once I recover in the future, I will definitely get you to pay a bloody price. Hun Tiandi struggled to get up. After which, he staggered as he rose into the air. Waves of weary feeling spread from within his body. His eyes were savage as he looked at Xiao Yan below with great unwillingness. A hissed and laughed. Cough. Xiao Yan coughed violently a couple of times. His face was as pale as sheet. Blood wildly spluttered out from his mouth. This intense battle was far too cruel. However, he must not allow this potential danger to flee no matter what. Otherwise, calamity would continue to befall the continent. Ha ha, why would I allow you to leave? Xiao Yan wiped off the blood on the corner of his mouth. A strange smile appeared on his face. The heavenly flame square slowly rose into the air. Suddenly, Xiao Yan's body revealed a brilliant fire glow. The square suddenly trembled as this brilliant flame appeared. Another bright-colored stone pillar rose at the middle of the square. A smile rose on Xiao Yan's pale face as he looked at the stone pillar. His body shook and it actually began to burn at this moment. Self-igniting your Do-Di body? Xiao Yan, you are committing suicide. Han Tiandi's face immediately paled from shock after seeing this action of Xiao Yan. If the latter was to self-ignite his own Do-Di body, he would at least need a couple of 100 years or longer in order to once again refine and create it. Moreover, it was also possible that he would fail to successfully refine it. The price was quite a severe one. Xiao Yan merely smiled calmly in the face of Han Tiandi's stern cry. The flame on his body became increasingly intense. Alliance Chief, Flame D is righteous. Countless number of people in the entire place seemed to be aware of Xiao Yan's act of risking his life. Immediately, a huge sea of black masses began to kneel onto the ground. My body shall turn into a heavenly flame to seal you forever. Han Tiandi, let the calamity of this continent come to an end. Xiao Yan's body had completely turned into a cluster of brilliant flame. The other heavenly flames on the heavenly flame square dimmed slightly in the face of this cluster of flame. They emitted a low humming sound, appearing as though they were subordinates who had met their emperor. The flame had rushed into the final stone pillar after it was formed. Immediately, 23 fire pillars gathered. It directly formed an unusually mysterious array on the heavenly flame square. Han Tiandi's face turned ashen as he looked at this flame array. He could sense an aura of death from it. His body hurriedly pulled back. Swoosh! However, the huge heavenly flame square broke through the empty space and appeared below him just as his body was withdrawing. The formation swept over the place and sucked Han Tiandi into it. Rumble! My Han clan's 1,000-year preparation has actually been ruined in your hands. Xiao Yan, I am unwilling to accept this. Unwilling to accept this. The formation turned into various fire threads in front of the countless pairs of eyes. They entwined around Han Tiandi's body. The latter swiftly melted after being entwined by the fire threads. Finally, he turned into a cluster of spiritual light. At this moment, Han Tiandi's sharp roar had also rumbled across the world. The fire threads had turned into a huge cocoon the moment the light cluster appeared. Finally, it slowly landed on the heavenly flame square and slowly sunk deep into it. Many mysterious fire symbols wrapped around the entire square like a seal. Countless individuals on the ground looked at the fire cocoon that was being suppressed in the heavenly flame square. Their bodies involuntarily trembled. They had finally been relieved from the over half a year of doomsday-like feeling today. Has it succeeded? Ji Yuan and the rest wore stunned expressions as they watched the heavenly flame square floating in the sky and heard the earth-shaking cheers on the central plains. Had they finally stopped this calamity? We have succeeded. A moment later, the stunned emotion on their faces gradually turned into wild joy. Ji Yuan and the rest exchanged glances. Their moods surged. Finally, they involuntarily laughed out loud. This time around, their laughter was completely without fear. Xiao Yan, Zubuer and Kai Lin by the side were startled as they looked at the heavenly flame ranking. A moment later, they hurriedly rushed towards the heavenly flame square like lunatics. The both of them saw many heavenly flame pillars when they arrived at the square. Their eyes immediately focused on a brilliant flame at the middle. However, there was no one standing there like they had anticipated. Both women seemed to have been struck by lightning at that moment. Their pretty faces were white as tears involuntarily rolled down. Cough. A weak cough suddenly sounded while both women were depressed and in despair. The fire glow on the fire pillar moved and a somewhat illusory figure appeared in front of the duo. I'm still alive. It is just that I have destroyed my physical body. All I need to do is to create another one in the future. Xiao Yan was pale as he looked at the two women and spoke in a weak manner. Two pretty figures pounced at him after Xiao Yan's laughter sounded. They violently collided into his embrace. Do not go and become a hero again the next time. No one knew who had grumbled amidst the crying. If I don't, this entire continent would be destroyed. Xiao Yan sighed softly in his heart. He immediately smiled and nodded. This will be the last time. Xiao Yan's eyes glacked at the middle of the heavenly flame square as he uttered those words. A Do-Di soul was sealed under it. He would be gradually refined by the flame within the darkness. The big fight might be miserable, but it was fortunate that he had emerged victorious. Xiao Yan smiled as he looked at the central plains, which had been ruined to the point of being covered with holes. A feeling of ease that Xiao Yan had never felt before spread from deep within his soul. I can finally rest. Xiao Yan hugged the two women on the heavenly flame square and slowly shut his eyes. Xiao Yan had worked hard for many years because of various reasons. It seemed that the result he had obtained was not bad. Flame D, Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan curled his lips into a smile as he muttered to himself, Ancestor Xiao Zhan. I have helped you completed what you have failed to achieve.